and welcome to MC Continental Prime, reaching you from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Felicity Ezewike. The headlines at this hour. Ethiopian authorities threaten to deploy military against Tigray rebels. Tunisian president sacks more regional governors. Human rights groups accuse Mozambican soldiers of trapping civilians in insurgent-hit northern town of PALMA. We'll bring you details shortly. Thank you for joining us. Continental Prime begins in West Africa. The indefinite national strike embarked upon by resident doctors in Nigeria has entered the fifth day. President of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Okuhesuyi Uyilawa, said the strike has become unavoidable since the ultimatum issued to state and federal governments to address spending issues, including welfare, expired. The group accuses the government of insincerity in implementing its promise to resident doctors as contained in the memorandum of actions signed before the ultimatum was issued. I'm now being joined by NAD President, Dr. Uyilawa. Thank you very much for joining us on the news, Doctor.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program.
So it's been 5 days since the start of the strike by your association. What is the latest development?
Good evening, and I'm happy to be on your program. There has been a 5 days of sad events happening in the health sector because of some irresponsible leaders on the affairs of the health sector. Just today, we got a threat notice from the Minister of Labour, Honorable Senator Chris Ngige, telling us that he's going to use this long arm on the stick on us, putting us on no work, no pay. By Monday, they're going to get new residents, locum officers to take charge of the hospitals, and that means we'll be sacked. Sadly, also, this event, we got a letter from the Minister of Health telling us that we should resume work or there'll be consequences. It's 116 days since we started the strike, and instead of them acknowledging to the fact that they have not been able to meet any of our ultimatum, they are busy issuing threat messages to us. It's shameful, and I feel Nigerians need to know that the failure of them preventing us from going on strike is based on the inefficiencies of the Ministry of Health.
All right. I did see a report earlier that the federal government is saying they really don't owe you, that the agreement that they have with you is in the process of being established. And we also hear, I can't confirm this independently, that some governors, state governments are reaching out to you. Could you confirm any of this?
Ultimatum on the 31st of January, containing some issues. The first one was we lost 19 members to COVID-19. And those ones asked that the health insurance should cover, at least they should get a debt and service insurance. As it stands, the government says they have released about 9.3 billion naira, but none of our residents have gotten anything to their next of kin. That is federal, that's not state. The minimum wage arrears owed our doctors is from federal and not state. Those on the platform of the GIFIX platform, which is a non-regular salary basis for those employed by the chief medical directors and are not in the IPs. Up to now, they have been owed 3 to 6 months salaries. The hazard allowance of 5,000 naira we pay to our members is still what it is, since 1991. The medical resident training fund that they said was in the budget is still not being paid to any of our members. So it's quite sad and shameful when you want to use the law to punish people that you had an agreement with on the 31st of March and an addendum to that on the 9th of April. And you have not done anything about what you signed. Instead, you are busy trying to punish us and make us go back to work when you have not done the bit of your own. That's the side events that have been occurring for the past 116 days.
Okay, so where does that leave us, really? Because as it stands, the impact of your strike is being felt across the board in the country, the health sector. Some people are being turned away from hospitals because there are no doctors to attend to their needs. So is there a compromise in sight?
Yeah, any teaching hospital, be it federal or state, the patients are owned by the consultants, and the consultants are still working in all accident and emergencies in the clinics, and they are operating in isolation centers. So we basically did not abandon the hospitals. There are consultants on ground that are working. But it would be strange to know that when state governments like Abia are owing 19 months salaries to our members, Imo is owing 8 months salaries, Ondo State is owing 4 months salaries, it is owing 2 months salaries. In UCH in Badon, they're owing between 3 to 4 months salaries. In UPTH, they have been owed the same. In Calabar, they are doing the same thing. How would you expect a doctor that has not been paid for 19 months, that cannot be able to feed his family, cannot be able to pay rent, that cannot be able to put a roof over the whole family head to go and work?
I'm not trying to justify doctors being owed salary, resident doctors in this instance, but the strike for some, you're highlighting that some states are owed 2 months, some are owed over 10 months. The case of Abia has been quite an issue for a while. But the states that are owing 2 months, what is the explanation that the government is given? Is it possible that some states can pull away from the strike because of the patients?
I'm not talking about states. The ones Abia 19 months, Imo State 8 months, they're different. Federal institution, UCH Ibadan is one of the biggest teaching hospitals in Nigeria. UCH was formed in the 50s. You are aware that in UCH then, people from Saudi Arabia and all over the country, of the world come to get treatment there. We have about 215 members of ours, they're employees under the UCH University College Hospital Ibadan. And the 215 of them have not had any salaries of any form. You know that most people now, because of the health tourism, travel abroad to India and other countries to get health care. If we are able to develop the ones we have in this country, you'll be shocked that in all the 6 zones of Nigeria, we do not have any functional hospital that meets best international practices. So what are they doing about them? What have they done to improve the health system? What have they done?
But if I may interject again, isn't this strike further crippling the health sector? You said yourself that, people are going out to get health care elsewhere. Strike like this, for people that can afford it, wouldn't it be that they're taking their money elsewhere? And isn't that for the affecting and destroying our health sector?
Ma'am, those traveling abroad are those in politicians and those that have money. Average people like us that can barely feed because we have not been paid for 19 months. How do we live? Poverty has killed more people in the third world countries, in Nigeria, in the rural areas, more than even COVID-19. What have we done to alleviate the sufferings of the nation? Nigeria has one of the worst indices in maternal and child mortality. What have been done to improve the health structure? Is there any hospital you have any functional MRI, CT scans, or basic things that you need to function in Nigeria? Some few percentage of people that are of the upper class are able to afford healthcare or in other countries. We that are not able to afford it, what do we do? Part of our oath, we say, yes, our responsibility to the patient. The fourth part of it says, you have to be well to be able to treat patients. Yeah, so we that are not strong enough to treat patients because we have not received salary for 19 months, how do we survive to want to live treatment for other people?
Dr. Uyilawa, I guess there's a lot of questions that require answer, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that your association, the federal and state government, will come to some compromise people that are sick can get the required help from resident doctors. Thank you very much for joining us on the news, and all the best with the struggle.
Thank you for having me.
Right, that was the president of the National Association of Resident Doctors in Nigeria, Dr. Okuhesuyi Uyilawa. Staying in Nigeria, the federal government has approved the change of name of the nation's Ministry of Science and Technology to the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. The move is to facilitate societal development and economic growth. Nigeria's Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ogbonnaya Onu, made this known in Abuja to newsmen, saying the new image of the ministry will help drive research and innovation. Onu says this will, in turn, place research and development as key focal points of the ministry and also key drivers of the nation's economy. He adds that research and development will transform Nigeria to a technology-savvy nation, thus meeting the technology needs of other sectors.
Use research and development to start solving our problems as a nation. Then we will be in a position to increase domestic production and reduce importation from other countries for the things that we can produce at home, so that by meeting our needs, we can now ensure that the surplus is exported to other countries, and this will help us in the balance of payments and help to strengthen our currency.
Staying in Nigeria, the Premier Academy, Lugbe, has released exclusive footage of deceased student Karen Akpaga moments before she was taken away from the school premises about 48 hours before her death. The school authorities say this is to counter claims that she was in dire need of medical attention before she was released home to her parents, as civil societies accuse the school of falsehood. They say the late Karen went home in good spirits and have continued to deny she was sexually abused within the school premises. A correspondent who has been following the story, Amadine Uyi, tells us more.
CCTV footage of the late Karen moments before she left the school premises. More footage of Karen as she went for a daily insulin jab and returned back to hostel. Staff of the Premier Academy, Lugbe, in reacting to several allegations against the school, say they released footages in reaction to misinformation in public space over the death of Karen.
Truth be told, what you just said now, I have no idea about it. I don't know anything about what you just said now.
There is distortion of information given. Summer holiday, she was to come back on the 16th. She did not return until a week after. So after that was when this thing happened.
I asked the mom why she was in coma when she told me earlier on that she was just delirious. And she said the doctor sedated her. And I said at that point I wasn't comfortable. I asked that we move the girl out of that hospital, but she said she was okay with the hospital.
However, while civil society groups continue to accuse the school of misrepresenting events leading to Karen's death, the school maintains otherwise.
We've confronted them with a few questions in the process of this investigation, and the questions include, fundamentally, we asked the management and board, have you ever had any case of sexual abuse in this school? And the board and management answered us emphatically, never, as their response. What is the worry? The fact that a teacher was found culpable in complicit in allegation of sexual molestation of a student. Premier Academy chose to just send the teacher on indefinite suspension, and it ended that way. Now that for us is irresponsible and calls to question the penchant of Premier Academy Lugbe to cover up incidents of sexual abuse and molestation.
Harassment comes in different forms. Mere looking at you, doing my eyes this way, you can take it up, you have been harassed sexually. But the abuse or sexual molestation is deeper. When, you now go further to inflict a kind of pressure on the opposite sex now, maybe by rape, by beating, by touching any part of the body, then there is abuse. In this school, we have never had any sexual molestation. There has never been any sexual abuse.
The case of Karen Hapuka Paga has refused to leave public space, while the parents of Karen say she was the victim of a sexual abuse, which led to her eventual death. The school are insisting that abuse did not occur within their premises.
A teacher, there are some things you dare not discuss with your students. There are some no-go area. Once such are beginning to happen, or if it has occurred, we have our own monitoring system on ground.
The staff that managed Karen, while in school, also maintains she left the school premises in very high spirits.
She just hugged me and said, "Oh, husband, I'm going home. Thank you, thank you." She hugged me, and then she left the place. All her friends came. "Oh, you are going home." And then they were hugging each other and all that. And she left.
Nigerians will, however, continue to wait Karen's autopsy report. From Abuja, Amadine Uyi, News Central Television.
Quite a worrying development. News Central will stay with that story and bring you any update. Moving on now, but staying in Nigeria. Several leaders from the All Progressive Congress have called on Nigerians to shun calls for secession and embrace dialogue. They say Nigeria is better off as a united entity despite its ethnic and religious diversity. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
Self-determination. The agitation for the separation of Nigeria by various pro-regional groups have recently continued to generate public attention, beginning with the indigenous peoples of Biafra in Nigeria's southeast region, and the agitation for Oduduwa Republic by groups in the southwest region. The clamor for secession is gradually becoming a major source for concern.
There is no separation without conflict. Like what is happening in Southern Sudan. After the breakaway of Southern Sudan from Sudan, there is still conflict. The same thing in Ethiopia with Eritrea. After the breakaway of Eritrea, there is still conflict between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Nigeria would not be an exception.
For those who were not born then, who take delight in pronouncing war, it's not African magic. The thing you stay back and watch. It's a thing you may not come back. And those people shouting war, during the first 3 weeks of the battle, they're gone. So nobody will wish our country another war.
At this public lecture on sustaining national unity, the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, thinks dialogue is a better alternative to calls for secession.
I don't see secession as the way out of the current challenges afflicting our country. Instead, advocates of secession should have a change of heart, and I recommend dialogue as a crucial option for addressing such problems. Besides, there's a National Assembly where some of the grievances can be addressed.
Other leaders from the All Progressives Congress present here urge Nigerians to promote peace and the unity of the country.
For the fact that one family man had one AK-47 or 10 of them, 50 of them, the 10 families are called as killers. For the fact that some young men are saying, listen, they are dating, then all equals have come like that. Except to Europe, this thing must stop.
Companies do restructure and make the companies more efficient and more profitable. Countries can equally do that. We look at areas where we are having a lot of waste, where we are grossly inefficient. We make it more efficient.
The nationalistic role of the Nigerian press has continued to strengthen and sustain the unity of this country. We, as media practitioners, have resolved to continue to promote issues and values that unite us as a people of one nation and one destiny.
From Abuja, Idong Joseph, News Central Television.
Thank you, Joseph. Let's go now to Tanzania. The fate of popular opposition party leader Freeman Mbowe is yet to be decided. This was as he and 3 of his co-accused were taken back into remand custody after their brief appearance at a court in Dar es Salaam. News Central's Mary Chinda brings us this update.
The trials of Tanzania's main opposition party leader, Freeman Mbowe, has been postponed till next Friday after the Director of Public Prosecutions sought to have the case handled by a higher court. Mr. Mbowe stands trial on terrorism charges, which scores of his supporters have denounced as a politically motivated move to silence dissent.
Ijumaa ijayo tarehe 13 mahakama imeelekeza kwamba wenzetu wajitahidi kadri inavyowezekana. Tarehe hiyo upelelezi sio tu umekamilika, lakini pia zile hatua za awali kwa maana ya komito ziweze kufanyika siku hiyo, ili swala hili kwa sababu lina mvuto wa umma liweze kwenda hatua nyingine. Kama mnafahamu kwamba kwa mujibu wa sheria ni mahakama kuu ambayo ina mamlaka ya kisheria ya kusikiliza shauri hili, lakini
tunaishauri serikali ikubali kuja kwenye meza ya mazungumzo, tuondokane na shauri hili, waweze kuliondoa, tuje kwenye meza ya mazungumzo, tutafute mwafaka wa kitaifa. Kwa kuwa jambo hili lina suluhu zaidi ya kisiasa kuliko ya kisheria. Wanasema hakuna anayepata ushindi mahakamani. You better have a bad settlement outside the court rather than to have a good judgment in the court. Kwa sababu litazidi kujenga uhasama, litazidi kujenga chuki. Hebu tuwe na meza ya mazungumzo, tumalize jambo hili kwa maslahi mapana ya mama Tanzania.
The 59-year-old and 3 of his co-accused were taken back into remand custody after their brief appearance at a court in Dar es Salaam early on Friday. This is the first time Freeman Mbowe was seen in public since his arrest, along with other members of the Chadema party on July the 21st, just hours before they were to hold a public forum on constitutional reform. Mary Chinda for News Central.
Ethiopia has warned it could deploy its entire defensive capability after advances by Tigrayan rebels into neighboring regions. According to a statement by the Foreign Ministry, the government is being pushed to mobilize and deploy the entire defensive capability of the state if its humanitarian overtures for a peaceful resolution of the conflict remain unreciprocated. The statement adds that the action of the irresponsible group is testing the federal government's patience and pushing it to change its defensive mood, which has been taking for the sake of the unilateral humanitarian ceasefire. Earlier on Friday, the spokesman for the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, rebuffed calls to withdraw from the neighboring Afar and Amara regions. Staying in Ethiopia, the United Nations says 100 trucks of food and medicines are needed a day in the northern region of Tigray to save lives. Speaking in Geneva on his return from Ethiopia, the UN's Emergency Relief Coordinator, Martin Griffiths, says a humanitarian ceasefire is a glaring necessity in order to allow aid deliveries into the warring region. The UN estimates that 5.2 million people of Tigray's population are in need. Griffith says he saw hospitals looted and destroyed in Tigray and families traumatized by violence. The Ethiopian government says it is in favor of the UN plan, but Tigray's rebels are expanding into neighboring Amara. We head to Southern Africa. Mozambican security forces are preventing tens of thousands of civilians displaced by militant attacks around the northern town of PALMA from moving to safer areas. This is according to Human Rights Watch. The group says most of the people fled from their homes when Islamic State-linked militants launched coordinated attacks on PALMA on March 24, killing dozens as they ransacked their way through the port town. Many of the displaced sought refuge in the nearby village of Kutunda, where Human Rights Watch claims they have been trapped by troops and ongoing fighting. The group argues that civilians caught trying to flee were physically assaulted. Mozambique has been grappling with a homegrown insurgency terrorizing its gas-rich Cabo Delgado province since 2017. In the meantime, a new boss is taking over the running of Mozambique's La Vela Women's Penitentiary. This comes after it was discovered that inmates there have been forced into prostitution. Herminia Namuze was sworn in as the new director, replacing Albertina Dimade. She had been removed in June during investigations into the allegations first exposed by an anti-corruption organization. The Center for Public Integrity, CIP, revealed that for years, the female prisoners had been taken to nearby guest houses to work as prostitutes for wealthy clients. After a commission of inquiry confirmed the finding last month, Justice Minister Helena Kida suspended the prison's entire management. We now head to North Africa. Tunisian President Kais Saied has sacked more regional governors. Senior officials in the Monastir, Madani and Zagouan were among those dismissed. This follows the recent sacking of the governor of Sfax. Last month, the president sacked Tunisian Prime Minister Hichem Mechiche and suspended parliament. The president's actions have been criticized by his opponents, accusing him of staging a coup. Coming up, Liberia rolls out over 300,000 doses of the J&J COVID-19 vaccine. We'll bring you details of this and more when we return. Let's tell you about Liberia's fight against the COVID-19. We understand the country has received a major boost on Friday as the West African country rolled out over 300,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Liberia received the donation from the United States government through the COVAX facility. The country had halted its vaccination campaign after the 96,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine that it received in March ran out amid an upsurge in infections. Jim White, USAID Mission Director in Liberia, said Friday's launch proves that Liberia is ready to end COVID-19. And in the DRC, coordinator of the national response to COVID-19 there, Jean-Jacques Muyembe, says the third wave of COVID-19 in the East African country is steadily declining. Muyembe added that the third wave is under control in the Democratic Republic of Congo following the significant drop in cases of contamination. But despite this decline, the coordinator has indicated that the epicenter of the disease has moved from DRC's capital to 3 other provinces. They include North Kivu, Ituri, and Haut-Uele, all located in the eastern part of the country, where several cases of death have been recorded in recent days. Faced with this situation, the health authorities reaffirmed that measures are being taken to control the situation in the coming days. Still ahead, Hiroshima marks 76th anniversary of the world's first atomic bombing. More on this and other stories after this short break. Thank you for staying with us. Hiroshima on Friday marked the 76th anniversary of the world's first atomic bombing. The mayor of the Japanese city urged global leaders to unite to eliminate nuclear weapons just as they have united against the coronavirus. Mayor Kazumi Mutsu urged world leaders to commit to nuclear disarmament as seriously as they tackle a pandemic that the international community recognizes as threats to humanity. The United States dropped the world's first atomic bomb on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. destroying the city and killing 140,000 people. Japan surrounded August 15, ending World War II and its nearly half-century of aggression in Asia. UN Chief Antonio Guterres paid tribute to the victims and survivors of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima.
Peace Memorial, and to pay tribute to the victims and survivors of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. On this day, 76 years ago, a single nuclear weapon brought unimaginable suffering to the people of this
Tanzania is attending a meeting of African countries that is expected to come up with a joint method of convincing the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to support the continent in constructing digital infrastructures in a bid to mitigate the economic effects brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. A meeting which has brought together ministers for finance and economy, together with governors of central banks from 54 African countries, is held in Bujumbura, the capital city of Burundi. From the meeting, participants are expected to come up with a joint agreement on securing funds from global financial institutions to be spent on facing technological advancement, especially in the areas of online business, digital economy, as well as building digital infrastructures that would cover rural and urban areas. Lekon Nabanjo has the rest of the business news.
Hello and welcome. This is Business News. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The South African Revenue Service, SARS, is increasingly auditing taxpayers' crypto holdings and trading activities. It has also requested information from the certain South African crypto exchanges, including Luno, about users on the platform and their transactions. SARS has not issued an interpretation note on the tax implications of crypto assets. This means that the intention of the taxpayer, supported by objective factors such as length of holding and frequency of trades, would determine whether the crypto gains are revenue taxed at a maximum of 45% or capital in nature, which is taxed at a maximum of 18%. The disposal of crypto as a financial instrument is a taxable event. It may, however, be hard for taxpayers to prove that their crypto investment gains fall within the CGT net because there are no capital deeming rules in the ITA for crypto, such as the 3-year rule for equity shares. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, is threatening a strike over salary increase disputes in the engineering and steel industry. Workers want an 8% increase, which is lower than its previous 15% wage demand. However, employers are offering 4.4%. NUMSA spokesperson Pamakile Ilubi Majola says the wage negotiations have deadlocked and a dispute resolution mechanism is being entered into. The union is, however, still engaging with the employers and hopes to avoid a strike if the employers can meet it halfway. The union says it is also against the government's plan to allow retirement of funding of members to access a portion of their pension funds in the midst of tough economic times. Now, Kenya has lost 14 billion shillings revenue and 44,000 jobs in the last 3 years following the ban on logging in community and public forests. Latest report shows a study by the Kenya Forestry Research Institute, KEFRI, indicates that the ban has also resulted in the economic collapse of forest-dependent centers and communities. The Kenya Forest Service lost 4 billion shillings revenue, while 10 billion was lost due to machinery lying idle. The harvesting ban led to economic collapse of forest-dependent centers and communities, mostly around Maji Mazuri, Mau Summit, Elbagon, Molo, Makutana, and Kaptagat, including Buka. The ban has also resulted in the increase of importation of timber from 3,231.38 cubic feet to 29,355.39 cubic meters, leading to a total loss of foreign exchange, which is about 1.04 billion shillings.
From business, let's take you through the latest trends with Sheol Bankole.
Thank God it's Friday, and welcome to our special TGIF episode of NC Trends. I am Sheol Bankole. Lionel Messi is leaving Barcelona, and this is trending worldwide. As expected, it has stirred lots of sparks and social media buzz. A statement published on the club's official website on Thursday reads as follows. Despite FC Barcelona and Lionel Messi having reached an agreement and the clear intention of both parties to sign a new contract today, this cannot happen because of Spanish La Liga regulations on player registration. The club's president, Juan Laporta, said in a press conference that he was not prepared to put the club at risk by renewing Messi's contract, with Barcelona facing huge financial problems ahead of the start of La Liga. According to him, Lionel Messi has other offers and he needs time to assess his other options. Now, seeing as Messi has spent his entire career at Barcelona, this news sparks mixed reactions online. Let's take a few of them. Baka Universal says, hard to believe that Messi's last game at Barcelona was without fans. Hard to believe that he most likely won't have a farewell like he deserves, but it is the harsh reality. Also, this one from Ray Hudson reads, the end is never the end, just the beginning of something. The football world sends its best wishes, Leo. #Messi. Also, this one reads, it is heartbreaking, it's painful, it's hard to accept, it's unimaginable, it's the worst ever experience in football history. But we Messi fans just have to move on, wishing him the best ahead. Whenever he is happy, we all will be happy. Your new club is our new club. Over to Nigeria, people have been reacting to news that Mo Abudu's Ebony Live TV, Universal Pictures, and Will Packer Productions have received the adaptation rights to produce a movie on Raymond Abbas, also known as Ray Hushpuppi. The production houses have decided to do a movie on the international fraudster based on a Bloomberg story, The Fall of the Billionaire Gucci Master. Now, recall that Hushpuppi, who attracted millions of followers with pictures of his glamorous lifestyle, was arrested in June 2020 by Dubai police amid claims of a £350 million cyber scam. He's currently on trial in the United States as part of an investigation into money laundering, cyber fraud, hacking, and scamming. Now, people are talking about this from different angles. Let's check a few of them out online. This one says, why promote this about Nigeria and Nigerians? It is enough with always associating scamming or scammers with Nigeria as if others don't do the same. Create storylines about how awesome Nigeria is, the people, even the Yoruba pantheon. Another one reads, mixed feelings about this story. I would wait to watch the film to see, though. However, the action of one doesn't impact negatively on the bulk. Congratulations. Also, this one says, I knew his story would inspire a movie. We all loved Wolf of Wall Street, and similar movies based on the story of criminals. Guess it helps to try to understand who the person was before crime took over. Now, wrapping up today, we'll touch down in Uganda, where long-distance runner Joshua Cheptegei added the Olympic 5,000 meters title to his world record in a race that was just short of achieving a game's best time. Now, Cheptegei finished ahead of Canada's Mohamed Ahmed and American Paul Chilemo to succeed Mo Farah as champion. The victory makes the Ugandan, whose world record stands at 12 minutes, 35.36 seconds, an Olympic and world champion, adding to his 10,000-meter win at Doha 2019. I am absolutely in love with the wins for African countries at the Tokyo Olympics. Proud African moments right now, I know. Now let's see some celebratory messages online. King Kong 8 got nothing on Joshua Cheptegei, neither Uganda. Now drum that chest. #Olympics, #gold. Also, this one says, and he has done it again. Congratulations, Joshua Cheptegei, on that win. Finally, this tweet reads, congratulations to Joshua. He came, he ran, he conquered, and won gold in the men's 5,000-meter final. Ugandans all over the world are proud, and we wish you more success. #Olympics. Thank you for joining us throughout this week on NC Trends. You can watch other episodes of this segment on News Central TV's YouTube channel. Do well to subscribe while at it. Also, remember to follow us across social media at News Central TV. I am Sheol Bankole. Have a fabulous weekend.